today I wanted to review for you the new Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. We all know about the Beauty Blender, and I know a lot of you out there been looking for dupes and nothing really compares to Beauty Blender. Okay, let me tell you about this. So it comes in this lovely packaging and it's orange. This one is wet, therefore is a bit bigger, but it's not that much smaller actually when it's dry. To compare, they are both wet, so I would say the Real Techniques is bigger. Sorry, this one's a bit dirty, but I've been using it. But I've used that one today. So when you first take it out, it is much harder than the Beauty Blender. But when you wet it, it gets nice and soft. The only thing with this is, I think it holds on to water much more than the Beauty Blender. So when you're wetting them both and squeezing, Beauty Blender becomes much more just damp than this one. You have to squeeze a lot. Even now, look, I'm squeezing and I can still squeeze water, whereas I can't from this one. So it does hold on to water much more than Beauty Blender, and I don't think that's such a good thing. You just have to squeeze it much more. I really like the shape of it. It's quite clever. I like that flat surface here. Let you get into small places, and then it's got a pointy bit. That one looks a bit like a nipple. Looks like a lemon, I don't know. Another thing, when you're washing them both and you put soap on it or whatever you're using to wash your sponges with, when you're rinsing it under the water, the Beauty Blender, the soap rinses out so much quicker, and then you can quickly see just clean water coming out. With this one, the soap stays in there for ages, so you have to rinse and rinse and rinse for quite a long time before the water runs clear without the soap. Now application. Absolutely fine. Don't see hardly any difference between applying with the Beauty Blender or with the Real Techniques sponge. Applies makeup pretty similar. This one is much more bouncy. Feels lighter, feels very bouncy. There is something very unique about Beauty Blender. This one has more of a texture of almost memory foam. I hope you can see the indentation in it, how slowly it goes back to shape. Whereas Beauty Blender bounces back straight away. So it's much more bouncy and just lighter, it just feels lighter. But all in all, this one I think, I'm so sorry, I don't remember exactly the price. I will put it down here. I think it was something like £4.50. Beauty Blender, I think, is £17. So if you cannot afford Beauty Blender, or you cannot justify that much money for a makeup sponge, this is a great alternative. It is not exactly the same, but I think it's probably the closest to Beauty Blender. I'm sure you all have seen here on YouTube people trying to find dupes and nothing ever comes close to Beauty Blender, but this one is pretty close in a respect of how he applies. He applies makeup really, really well. I can't really see the difference. Just make sure that you squeeze that one much more than you do with Beauty Blender. So all in all, I really like it, and I'm quite happy to have it as my backup. It doesn't clean as well as the Beauty Blender. I know my Beauty Blender is a bit dirty, but I do use it a lot. with all sorts of products, and I can always get it almost clean. This one, I couldn't really get the stuff out of here, and that was just after one use. So I will update you with time when I'm using it a bit more. Yeah, but it's definitely worth buying. You know, if you're someone that's never applied to your makeup with any kind of sponge and want to know if it's worth to buy beauty blender, then I would invest in that one first. And if you get on with it, okay, just take into consideration what I've said about when you clean it, to rinse it really, really well and squeeze it really, really well, so you can no longer squeeze any more moisture from it. And if you really enjoy using that, maybe one day you want to invest in beauty blender. I hope you found that helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.